Okay, so you're doing AGIP first. So Shell is waiting. Shell is waiting. Okay. Where's AGIP family?
You can leave it. I won't take Shell. I'm going.
Okay. All right. Yeah? Fine. Okay. Yeah.
Bayelsa States, Your Excellency King Alfred HSD from Bayelsa States, welcome. This meeting, and perhaps we can start the meeting with brief remarks from AGIP on the status of the project.
It's Your Royal Majesty King Alfred HSD. The essence of the meeting today, as it relates to AGIP, is really to the other item which is on the side, and I don't know how prepared we are for that into this meeting, has been the issue of power supply. I think you've had some conversations with the MD of AGIP in terms of how they could support Bayelsa on the power growth area. And so we'll see whether it's something we can take on today and see what we need to do as a government to help that process through. There's a third item which concerns not just AGIP, but all the oil companies that are operating in that area. And the issue really is one of relationship building. The governor has complained that elementary payments that are supposed to be made to the government in terms of land, in terms of all that, are not done. There are arrears of those payments. I haven't looked through those details. But more important, he feels there's a need to be able to sit down closely and look at what items, whether it be tax on employee-related items that are due to state government on a payee basis, or taxes arising from levies out of land or environmental charges or whatever, so that there's a bit of understanding of what is reasonable to deal with, as long as it doesn't create a double taxation situation, given the fact of DPR's approvals and some of these licensing fees and all that. But it's important that I thought this was going to be a beginning meeting. We're going to have a series of other meetings to just build that relationship, look at the issues, find some ways to ensure that both parties are working together. In the climate of today, if you're doing any oil-related transaction in a state and you're not, quite frankly, relating well to the governor, and they're not seeing direct financial benefits of those, it creates a lot of security-related issues, and that's one of the things we're trying to avoid. So one is a good news, obviously, in terms of how do we go, what areas of convergence or cooperation is essential for the refinery, and obviously to open the governor's door to easy and quick conversations and consultations on this issue as you go forward. The other, obviously, is, like I said, the issue of areas of collaboration on power. I must commend AGIP. Frankly, they have shown in all the conversations I've had with them, both here and in their corporate headquarters, they've been the most cooperative in terms of coming forward with support projects that are key, very essential for this country, the refinery being one, and hearing that they're also looking at how to assist Bayelsa in terms of power growth. That's music to my ears. So I must commend, and I think you need to pass this back to Musimo and your management in terms of how pleased I am with some of the support that you continue to give. So I'll stop at that. I'm the umpire, not the meeting. So I'll leave His Excellency Executive Governor to also make a few remarks, and then perhaps we'll get a royal blessing from His Royal Majesty. It's not always that you find that His Royal Majesty leaving his kingdom to be here. So, and then after that, we'll hear from AGIP in terms of where the refinery is, how it's moving forward, what challenges they will have, where help is needed, and then with some thoughts on the power issue, and then before we then go into the other item. Thank you. Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. Honorable Minister, Your Royal Majesty, members of my delegation, representatives of the oil companies, thank you, Honorable Minister, for facilitating this interaction. I want to sincerely express how grateful we are as a government that you have stepped in at this critical moment to facilitate this interaction aimed at promoting a better and more harmonious relationship between the state government and then companies that are operating in it. I want to also use this opportunity to commend you for the great work you and the federal government have been doing in terms of collaborating, reaching out to all stakeholders, state governors. I know how many times we have met, to talk about the issues that are very important to all of us, i.e. security of the operating environment, and then how we can all contribute in our own different ways to ensure that the industry grows from strength to strength. And let me use this opportunity also to say that we are very happy with the leadership you are giving, the reforms that you have been pursuing, as long as you've been here. And I want to use the opportunity also to pledge our continued collaboration, our readiness to work with you and other stakeholders, work with the federal government, security agencies, ensure that we continue to provide a conducive operating environment. In the end, all of us stand to gain when companies operate without the kind of challenges that we've all been working towards to prevent. I want to raise a few issues in this meeting. You've already highlighted a number of them. I want to thank AGIP for the preliminary understanding, preliminary agreements that we're working on. To talk about this meeting centered about how a 150,000 barrel capacity refinery will take place in Bayelsa. That to us is big news. It's a welcome development. That's the sort of thing we want to see in Bayelsa. And I want to thank you for your leadership. To thank also AGIP for bringing this kind of project to Bayelsa. On our part as a government, and that's why this delegation is here. That's why His Royal Majesty is also here, representing I believe some of the key communities under which AGIP operates, to make the point that as far as we are concerned as a government, we are open for business, and we are very much alive to our responsibility, not just to attract investments in this sector to Bayelsa, but also to encourage those that are already there to make a success of whatever investment they intend to go into. And this is, for us as a government, as a people, a welcome development. And Honorable Minister, let me, on behalf of the government, pledge our cooperation, continued collaboration to ensure the success of not only this project, but of any other project that may come up in Bayelsa. You've already highlighted some of the issues we'll be talking about in terms of some of the complaints that we would like to make and the expectations that we hope will be met moving forward. There are some tax-related issues. We're not too comfortable with the refusal of operating companies. And that's not just to AGIP or Shell. In particular, it applies to all the companies. We feel they are not respecting sufficiently the local laws of our state with respect to our powers to control developments and impose reasonable levies for development permits and then other related charges. But let me also say that we are open to a constructive engagement such as this one you have facilitated. And I hope this meeting will start a process by which some of these issues that have lingered on for a long time will be eventually resolved. Minister, we have also at various meetings made it clear that Bayelsa is safe for business. As you all know, Bayelsa is the safest state, one of the safest states even in this country. We know our direction, our investment, our commitment in that area. And so we keep making the point that operating companies should come back home. Bayelsa is the home of oil and gas business. Come back home, and we want to work with them to ensure that they have some respectable presence. We're not saying they should close their shops, especially if offices that are in other Niger Delta areas. No, what we're saying is don't leave Bayelsa out of it. It's good enough that you have offices, major offices in the Niger Delta, but then let Bayelsa also feel your presence, see your presence. That's important in terms of building the relationship we're talking about. Minister, we have started some very serious interventions in the area of health and education, and there are existing laws that have created an obligation, if not legal, at least a social and moral obligation on the part of companies that are doing business in Bayelsa to contribute to the success of these initiatives. We have the Education Trust Fund, backed up by law, and by that law, operating companies have a duty and a responsibility to remit a part of their CSR budget to support the funding of the schools. Bayelsa now has the best public schools in the country. I want to maintain it moving forward. Same for healthcare facilities. We would like your collaboration in this respect. Talking about AGIP particularly, Minister, I'd like to report to you our happiness as a state about the very productive preliminary discussions that we've had concerning the support and collaboration with AGIP for the provision of 50 megawatt power stations in Bayelsa, using the gas facilities that they already own and control, that are just being flared. That started quite well, and with your guidance and support, we hope that that project will come into fruition. We're also developing an industrial park. One of the power stations will be located in the industrial park, and whatever collaboration and guidance from your end as head of the oil industry in the country to the success of the industrial park project will be appreciated. Once again, I thank you for this opportunity, but far and above everything else, I want to use this opportunity again to appreciate your leadership, your focus and your dedication, and the very efficient way and manner you have prosecuted the agenda of the federal government, and the way and manner you have consistently engaged with all of us, our stakeholders, which is why you now have improved production. We have relative stability in our region, and we're blessed to continue to work with you to even improve on all of them. Thank you very much once again for this opportunity. And I'll pass it on to His Royal Majesty for his royal remarks.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, Honorable Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, I think my governor said it all. Basically, I would only like to add that we're quite pleased with AGIP for being steadfast on the LNG project too. You've been standing with the federal government, and with those two legs, I think the project can stand even without the others. And you can be rest assured we appreciate what you're doing. The issue of tax, obviously, you will have to sit down with our experts to work out the details so that what is good for the goose is good for the gander. You pay in tax, and we should be able to benefit from it too. We also appreciate all your contributions towards the communities, by way of transportation and assistance with light and other things. And I would like to say, please keep it up. You will all recall that even your base in Port Harcourt and that in Brass was signed by me with my red pen when I was governor. So we'd like you to also think of endowing some of the educational institutions like UST and the University of Niger Delta, as well as the new universities coming up, which include the University of Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please, just permit me to just one last sentence, because that's why it's good to have fatherly presence of our king. They talked about the LNG, and I just thought I should just make a remark, because I didn't want you to, be not concerned about the LNG project, which is like, it's a major problem in Bayelsa. Everybody talks about it. We lament why we've not been able to bring it to conclusion. I just want to say that we would like you to see what you can still do about the LNG project, and also to thank you for the efforts you've made so far and the support given so far to the brass fertilizer project. I just wanted to underscore that. Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you, Excellency. I think I'll pass on to AGIP on just a quick one on the LNG. Obviously, we had a bit of a stall on that project, likely from a financing point of view and shareholder participation point of view. Total did at one point serve notice of its intent to withdraw from project, although there are recent trends indicating that they might reconsider that. But I think what is key is to put together the full partnership that is essential. Over 1 billion has been spent on by the parties or by the partners on the development of that field. Unfortunately, we're going through a phase where the price of LNG in the market is abysmally low. Ability to develop projects on the basis of those financials these days are very, very tasking. So I think when I was GMD, which is what I think the current GMD is also still pushing, we've tried to say how else can we reconfigure the investment in such a way that it begins to make sense. Gas supply was a problem. AGIP had its own gas supply, but of course Total struggled in terms of its own gas supply to the facility. So there are quite a few things still needed to be done. But it's still uppermost in our mind. It would be a shame if we do not, at the end, finalize the Nigeria LNG. I'm sorry, the LNG, the Brass LNG project that's configured. But my attitude was that while that was going on, if we get the refineries up and running, at least that keeps us going while we're trying to finalize matters with LNG. Yeah. I see a note there saying 150,000 barrels for 15 billion. I definitely know it can't be 15 billion. So somebody must be putting some numbers. AGIP will not spend 15 billion to build a 150,000 barrel refinery. Otherwise, they'll never make money. The Dangote refinery, which is 650,000 barrels, I think is about 13 billion. So I imagine that somebody, my system was putting those numbers out wrongly. But anyway, let's pass this on to AGIP and go from there. Thank you.
Minister, we would like them to spend 15 billion and more. Bayelsa.
Yes, but not on the refinery. They should give me some.
Thank you for inviting us. But first of all, let me thank the Governor of Bayelsa and His Royal Majesty for hosting our facilities in the state. And I have to appreciate the fact that in the last months or in the last years, level of security has increased a lot and stoppage of the production has decreased. So thank you on behalf of my MD that unfortunately he couldn't be here today. Okay, let's start from the study of the activity of the refinery, which are under study at the moment. It was about, Minister, 3 months ago that our CEO signed an MOU with an NNPC for a joint study that should bring to the identification of the refinery, the site where to place a refinery in the area where now operates. In this moment, I have to tell that the study is in advanced stage. We have identified basically 2 locations and 1 preferable where the supply of oil and the storage of oil is already available. So the study for sure does not look only at the technical aspect. We need to look at the supply of the crude. We need to look at the marketability, because at the end, if I cannot displace my products, the business is not sustainable. We need to look at the governance of these new assets. So in the next month, we will meet the ST8 of the minister to show the results and then to progress in the maturation of the concept. So, but the study is well advanced. On the power, I have great news, because yesterday we had a meeting with your people, with the ES of the CDMB, Mr. Simbi Panabote, and we set up the roadmap that should bring the first power at the end of 2018. So basically, we have completed the concept selection. With NECO, we will develop the FEED in the next 2 months, the front-end engineering design the next 3 months, such that we can launch the execution at the end of the year. This is a project that is a side of PL245, is a project that is a CDI that is inside the PL245. So both projects will be sanctioned at the same time. However, we did a good progress. So even if it was not in the agenda, I was well prepared on the subject. On the third point, on the respect of the local laws, ENI and now make a principle that every law is, every stakeholder, every hosting community, every hosting stage should be fully respected. So if anything has not been, if we have not complied to something, I propose to sit down, analyze, and define a way forward. I was not aware of any let's say, any not commitment by now. So let me revert to my operation people, and we meet again. We are periodically in touch with Mr. Danjumbo and with your people. We sit down and we see if and when we disappoint you. Okay, basically this is the status of the activity. Again, I thank you for the support that you are giving us to our operation, and I hope and for sure we will do for a fruitful collaboration in the next months but years. Thank you again. Thank you.
Okay, is there any more tax issue to review that? On the refiner, they will upload that to me hopefully by end of pressing very well. So whatever is going where you don't touch. So let us keep going. So on the basis of that, I will thank His Excellency, I'll thank Her Royal Majesty, and I'll thank AGIP for a very concise and straight to the point meeting. And I thank all of you for coming. We have another meeting with Shell on another.
Minister, can you tentatively agree on another meeting you will convene?
In terms of a date for another meeting, I think November. Have a follow-up meeting. Other items. All right. Okay.
Honorable Minister, the Executive Governor of Bayelsa State, Excellency, Your Royal Majesty, to a petition from the government of Bayelsa State in relation to the development of the UPA Integrated Oil and Gas Project. We have present in the room officials from both NAPES and Shell, HSDickson. Perhaps we can, with your approval, sir, commence the meeting with a quick introduction of by the representatives of both NAPES and HSDickson, so we know who they are. And then after which we can have the officials from the Bayelsa State government perhaps flesh out the case that they have presented, and then we can have the appropriate responses.
Okay.
My name is Abubakar Ahmed. I'm here representing the country chair of Shell. I bring his apologies as he tried, but he couldn't make it. He was here yesterday and he actually tried to see Your Excellency yesterday, but he didn't work out, so I bring his apologies. Thank you.
Your Excellency, sir. My name is Olubega Adelaye. I'm standing for GGM NAPES, who was unavoidably absent. I'm also the project manager for Barrowley I'm happy, sir.
The third person there,
Peter Kawit is my name. I'm a government relations advisor with Seriake.
Of our complaints, our petition is that the SPDC, in constructing the facility in question, that's Berang Ubie, did not comply with the Petroleum Act, which requires that they must obtain or comply with all town planning laws and regulations in the state. The Petroleum Act is very clear, and that was not complied with. The process was started, some payment was made, and it was abandoned. And it is contrary to the law. We have tried within our limits to enforce it. We ran into difficulties, and appropriate petitions were sent. And at this point, the Petroleum Act confers on the Honorable Minister power to compel Shell to come and offer explanations in respect of the non-compliance which we have raised, failing which is also empowered to revoke the license or direct that another member of the joint venture should manage that project, because it's a very serious problem to us. If you cannot comply with the regulations, town planning regulations, extant in our state, which is the requirement of the law, it's difficult for us to also offer all the relevant support that we need, because we also need your support to be able to work with you and ensure that everything works smoothly. In a nutshell, that is why we are here. Thank you, sir.
From Shell's view, before this project, we actually obtained a permit. Thank you. Honorable Minister, sir. Way back in 2009, from the information available to me, we did obtain a permit from the Urban Development Board of Bayelsa, and there were some payments that have been made to obtain that permit, which later were discovered to be not really in line with the applicable law, and that payment was later challenged. And as we speak, I understand the case is in court at the moment. So after that, we did also receive additional requests for payments, which SPDC couldn't find any grounds under existing laws to make that payment. And so that case is also in court at the moment. I understand also they've been, my country chair has reached out to His Excellency and the teams extensively on this to try to arrive at some kind of a settlement. But in the meantime, the case remains in court, sir.
They are owing some correspondences. So at this point, the outstanding arrears have been duly computed. There are penalties also based on the law which follow non-compliance with the law. So we are demanding for all that from them.
Well, I have two challenges here. One is that I will need to reach the Bayelsa and see whether it's in compliance with federal laws on this issue. Because if we are given a permit by DPR for purpose of the facility, we need to understand where the DPR licenses and fees cut off from the obligations of the state. I do know that in general, just from my time working the law issues of the mobile in those days, that if you actually physically develop a facility, then obviously town planning laws, local town planning laws will impute. Now, whether those town planning charges are excessive is a different category. I can see billions of naira here. I'll be very surprised. Most town planning type fees are fairly rudimentary. You certainly can't be charging more fees than a license to even do the facility. And we've got to be careful. You can't on one hand say you're looking for investment. On the other hand, you're levying development levies that actually just scare off investors. I know that a couple of years ago I handled something like this with River State government, where they were charging ExxonMobil, then I was in ExxonMobil, a huge amount that ran into billions and billions. And we all went to court, but eventually the judge said, look, it's either you want investment, they want to drive out people, because if the cost is too much, they pack their luggage and they go away and leave you with no investment. So I haven't looked at the Bayelsa law to see whether it is compliant, but generally the notion is that most states have the powers to impose laws to guard the fiscal developments in their areas, and that is not a forte for DPR. DPR gives you the license for the facility itself. So on the assumption that that law is probably well posited, which like I said, I've not looked at it, the issue then will be the sort of volume of charges that are placed on those. And what I would suggest, rather than me trying to serve as a judge and jury all in one here, is at the end of the day, what both of you need to do, I will encourage both the Attorney General and the Commissioner for Finance to meet with representatives of Shell and try and see how to work out something that is acceptable, especially given the fact that you historically had paid something, what was the sort of ratios that were used then and that sort of stuff. And then you can do a comparative analysis in your neighboring states in terms of what they are also billing for similar oil-related facility developments. I think I should let that meeting hold first, and where you then don't arrive at some conclusion that is acceptable to both parties, I can then intervene on the basis of where you stop. But I think I shouldn't get involved at this point in terms of trying to work out the mechanics. All the guidance I will give is that on a general basis, the Bayelsa government probably would have a right to impose some levies in terms of environmental development and fiscal development in their area. What that amount will be, obviously, is within the rights of the Bayelsa state government, but must be reasonable on a comparative basis to what other states are doing. So Shell needs to sit down, and since it's a long-term relationship, sit down and negotiate with them in terms of what is acceptable. And if we're not getting a good landing, then the parties can come back again and I can set up another meeting to try and see how I can delve more into this. I can see lots of litigations going on the same issue. I will suggest that parties suspend litigations first. Let's try and work the issues off the table or off the courts. If that doesn't succeed and I don't succeed in getting you guys, because I have limited judiciary powers, so if I don't succeed in getting you, both of you, to some conclusion, then obviously parties can go to courts and challenge it. But I just find that usually these are not the matters best suited for courts. The matters best suited for conversation, negotiation, and an agreement. And I think His Excellency is very pro investment in the area, and let's take advantage of that and make sure we work something out that is also pro-investment that you've done in that area. That would be my suggestion. If all parties accept it, and I hope nobody will not accept it, then I will begin to draw this meeting to a close. I will have His Excellency at least give us a few words just to commit that he will have a wide latitude for his people to be able to negotiate. Sorry, you want to say something again?
Yes, before you hand over to His Excellency, sir, just to add that this facility we are talking about is almost the size of Lagos Island. Massive facility. So even the fees we are talking about compared to the size and the type of facility there is very small. And then, secondly, we have issues. We've not really had the opportunity of sitting down to resolve this issue. So if that is being encouraged, we are willing to do that. But the forum has to be created. Date, time, details, so that we can.
Yes, of course. But I think both parties are aligned in terms of trying to have a meeting. I can't compare it to a date for a meeting, but I'd like to hold quickly, because I'm not going to be in that meeting. Today is Tuesday. August of next week for OPEC. So let's say that the meeting should happen within a period of 2 weeks. Parties should get together, preferably in Bayelsa, so that you're able to looking at what it is that you're valuing, and have some conversations on this and try and find some solutions. And then I will hope I can get a feedback that meeting within the period of 1 month, which is a feedback from the meeting that you would have held and where you've landed, either that you resolved it or there's still some carryover things that I need to look into. I'll take it from there. Is that okay with you? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Once again, thank you, Honourable Minister, for your intervention and the way you handle this issue. As you know very well, Bayelsa is home to Shell. So if there's one operating company in Nigeria that should be concerned about maintaining and preserving that historical relationship, it should be Shell. And I've told my good friend and brother, the country share, that the idea of running to court to stall, the operation of a law, meanwhile you are not complying with it. I've not heard of that before. In most places, if you are challenging the validity of a law, whatever your reasons are, even if you are saying the law was passed ultra-virus or that the amounts that are claimed or imposed are excessive, these are things that I think, as Honourable Minister rightly observed, should have been amicably resolved, especially given our historical relationship. Honourable Minister, I thank you for that, and that has been our position, that some of these issues are best handled, amicably. Because in the end, Shell is in Bayelsa. They have been in Bayelsa for 61 years or so, and they will continue to be there for a long time. We are happy with the Banaubi gas investment, and we'll even ask that more investment from Shell should come to Bayelsa. So there's no way Shell and Bayelsa can have a divorce. It's like a Catholic marriage. You're a Catholic, so you understand what that means. We subscribe fully to this directive that you have given. My team will comply with it. We will be, as Shell knows, very gracious and generous hosts, even at this point in time. So we'll have that conversation in Bayelsa. I will also have a word with Country Share. Also, you guys, the technical people, should work out the details. And Bayelsa is open. We are flexible on these matters, so that we can all close this chapter, open a larger and bigger chapter moving forward. Thank you, Minister. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. Minister, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for taking this extra burden after FRAC.
No, absolutely.
After FRAC. Thank you very much. I'm rushing to Lagos, and then I'm off this night.
Safe travel.
So when I come, I will let you know.
Okay. Your Royal Majesty, thank you very much for coming. Really honored to let you. Thank you, sir.
We need to see you.
Okay. When to visit next week?
Yes.
Then I'll get my friends to call and visit for the later next week. Okay.